We are learning that a place called school is essential and irreplaceable. Schools are the beating hearts of our societies. Because schools provide much more than formal education, they are communities where students make friends, receive support and guidance from their teachers, and learn to live in society. They are spaces where parents know their children are protected. And for many poor and vulnerable students, schools is the only safe space in their lives. It is here that many receive their only meal each day, where they are safe from violence or neglect in their homes, where they feel supported and cared for. Our students need us more than ever. Away from schools, many children now find themselves at risk of abuse, child labor, early marriage, or pregnancy. We have been fighting to keep kids safe and in schools for decades. Now we must redouble our efforts. We are also learning that technology can never replace in-person teaching and learning. To the disappointment of EdTech profiteers, this crisis has clearly shown that technology can only be a tool of professional pedagogy, not a substitute. And we are learning that in a crisis, formal education and assessment come second. Our first duty is to make sure the basic needs of our students are met. We need to stay connected and give them a sense of normalcy, structure, and safety. We need to keep them learning without adding pressure. Standardized testing can wait. We are learning that under normal circumstances, poor infrastructure makes learning and teaching difficult. During a global health and education crisis, it becomes deadly. Large class sizes, inadequate school buildings, a lack of basic hygiene facilities are unacceptable. Governments have delayed long enough. These problems need to be fixed now. And we are learning that in a crisis, private schools fail their students. During lockdowns, many private schools fired teachers, leaving students with no education for months. Free, well-funded, and inclusive quality public education is the only way to overcome inequalities. We are learning a lot about ourselves too. Our professional identity extends far beyond classroom halls. Throughout the crisis, we have continued to support our students, teaching online, on TV, and radio, speaking to parents and students each day, delivering meals, books, and even internet connections. When our school closed, we did not stop being teachers. In this emergency, it all came down to us, what we could do with what we had. Our governments did not have a plan, but we rose to the challenge. The value of our professional autonomy has never been clearer. We are learning that pedagogy must come before technology. The solutions that worked best were not the platform prescribed by education ministries, but the adaptations we devised. We reached out to colleagues, tried out different things, listened to our students, and found the best possible solutions for them. And we are learning that even free technology comes at a price. We often must pay for it with our privacy. Cameras in the classrooms are not acceptable. Allowing student data to become a currency is not an option. When platforms are offered for free, we need to read the fine print. We need to be vigilant and defend our students' privacy. Our jobs are not easy, and the world is finally learning how complex and difficult teaching is. After a few months of distance education, parents have a newfound appreciation for us and for our work. Being appreciated is great, but we need to ask ourselves, why didn't parents know how difficult our jobs were in the first place? Why were they so surprised? Our lesson here is that we cannot take for granted a collective understanding of teaching and learning. We must reach out and help people understand what we do and why it is important. Likewise, we learned that building community alliances is fundamentally important. Schools are centers of communities, and we cannot exist without embracing that truth. But let's not forget that public opinion is a tool that can be turned against teachers. Opportunistic politicians are doing their very best to drive a wedge between teachers and parents. They are trying to cast our legitimate concerns around health and safety as roadblock to their plans to reopen schools at any cost. We need to be our own champions of ourselves and communities. Unions are uniquely important in moments of crisis. Unions mobilize to support their members, informing them of their rights in these uncertain times, and even offering the much needed resources, guidance, and training governments failed to provide. Unions were there for their members. But our role as teachers is not limited to our schools. When science and facts are under attack, we, the teachers of the world, must defend them. We cannot allow the opinions and statements of unscrupulous politicians to be louder and more influential than scientific facts. We stand for science. We stand for the truth. And if anyone was under the illusion that leadership does not matter, this crisis has proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that having the wrong people in power can mean a death sentence for many. We are also learning that decades of progress on women's rights and gender equality can be reversed in a matter of weeks. Even before the pandemic, women shouldered the lion's share of unpaid work in their homes. Now, with school closed, elderly relatives at risk of infection, women have seen their workload increase exponentially. Female educators are particularly overloaded, with both their schoolwork and their care work rising sharply. Worse still, gender-based violence has skyrocketed around the world during lockdowns. We cannot take the progress we have made for granted. But we are also learning that even in the middle of a global pandemic, we can mobilize and effect change. We can rise above our differences and find common cause in the fight for racial justice. This momentum, this determination, is not something we can afford to lose. In our schools, in our unions, and across societies, solidarity is the only way forward. It is all about being a team and beating the virus. We wear masks. We protect ourselves and each other. We work together. And we must learn together. For the world to learn, teachers must take the lead. On the 5th of October, World Teachers' Day, we are coming together from all corners of the world for the biggest global meeting of educators. We'll share our lessons, hear from leading experts, strategize and organize to make sure the world that emerges from this crisis is better and fairer than before. October 5, be there.